While the Ravens have soared high since that team could not have gotten off to a better start.
You'll be on this journey with me.
Hey guys, now joined inside Nats Park.
It's time we recap the unofficial start to NFL free agency, and I'm going to tell you why Lamar Jackson's response to Geno Stone leaving for Cincinnati has been completely misunderstood by some media outlets and some of you on social media. So that and more is what I have coming up in this episode, which is brought to you by my friends at Primary Residential Mortgage. And with that, welcome into the channel. I'm Bobby Trosset, and as always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. Before we get into today's topics, like I said, my friends at PRMI have a message, and they want to know, are you a self-employed individual dreaming of owning a home? Your 1099 income does not have to stand in the way of home ownership anymore. Take the first step and turn your home ownership dreams into reality today using PRMI's 1099 only income qualification program. And right now, through July 1st of 2024, PRMI is covering the cost of your appraisal up to $550. In order to redeem that, you can apply through the PRMI Mid-Atlantic website. Just mention my name if you are a Bobby Baltimore subscriber. This is available to you. It's a great incentive, and I think it's just a great idea for PRMI. I love that they're doing this, and I hope that if you're out there looking and searching for your next home or your first home, this is a great way to get started. So don't let 1099 income hold you back from owning the home of your dreams. Take the first step towards home ownership today. You can contact PRMI or just visit their website to learn more. All that information can be found in the show notes below. PRMI is an equal housing lender, NMLS 3094. Okay, here is a glance at day one. Gus Edwards left for the Chargers in the unofficial start to free agency. And what I mean by that is, remember, we're still in the middle of this legal tampering window before the new league year begins on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, when a lot of these moves will become official from the teams themselves. Geno Stone, as I mentioned, we'll get to that in just a second. Lamar's hilarious response. I found it hilarious. Some people were confused by it, which I'll explain in just a bit. He will stay in division. Former 7th rounder for the Ravens during the COVID season. He will now be a Cincinnati Bengal for them on the back end. Ronald Darby, who was a key piece to the Ravens' depth at corner last year, played a lot of meaningful snaps for Baltimore. He is heading to the Jacksonville Jaguars, as is Devin Duvernay at the wide receiver and return specialist roles. John Simpson at guard is Jets bound to protect for Aaron Rodgers in New York. We know that the Ravens have re-signed Justin Madubuike and Malik Harrison. Madubuike was initially franchise tagged, and then they found a way to work out his deal, which is already aging like fine wine, given what's taken place since then across the market, whether that be Chris Jones or Christian Wilkins in Kansas City or Miami, respectively. And then there's no deals right now at the time of this taping in the mid-morning hours on Tuesday, March 12th, for Patrick Queen, Kevin Zeitler, and 12 others in Baltimore. By the way, the Ravens are going to have a ton, or at least are projected to have a ton of compensatory picks in next year's draft. So keep that in mind as they continue to lose players in free agency. This, I thought, from Andrew Brandt is really interesting because it's spot on so far in terms of what the market's dictating. The NFL continues to be cold to running backs over a certain age, no matter the production. Players like Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, and Derrick Henry, 27, 29, and 30, respectively, have been replaced by younger models. It's the position with the shortest shelf life in the sport, and we've seen that time and time again over the last couple seasons. Now, Aaron Jones has since been signed. Matter of fact, let's just skip ahead real quick because the Vikings went in and got him. Aaron Jones was released by the Green Bay Packers on Monday, and now he is heading to Minnesota on a 1-year, $7 million deal. So the point still stands from Andrew, but bottom line is Aaron is now off of this list, right? So here, or I should say, he's on this list now. So the 9 running backs that agreed to deals on Monday were as follows. Josh Jacobs heading to Green Bay, which is why they released Aaron Jones. Saquon Barkley to Philadelphia. Those were your two kind of market-setting deals there from the upper tier running backs that we all kind of believed would be there. Tony Pollard heading to Tennessee. DeAndre Swift to Chicago. Devin Singletary to the Giants. Antonio Gibson to the Patriots. Austin Eckler, Commanders. Zach Moss, Bengals. And Gus Edwards to the Chargers. And you see the corresponding numbers. Again, at the top, Josh going to Green Bay, 4 years, $48 million. Saquon, 3 for $37.75 with Philadelphia. And then you see so on and so forth. Pollard and Swift were in that second tier. So the question becomes, since Derrick Henry's not on this list, where do the Ravens currently stand with him? Because aside from maybe your mid-level veteran running backs who are going to be, that third, fourth, and fifth tiers respectively in terms of overall interest and monetary value, there's not a lot left out there. Now, again, you could bring in J.K. Dobbins for that 1-year prove-it deal coming off the Achilles. And yes, you could draft a running back or two and be okay. But it sure looks like there's still interest, and Josina Anderson was all over that late last night. She has been told that there is interest between the two sides. An agreement still has to be reached, though. We will see. Brad Stainbrook, NFL reporter, he says that the current offer to Derrick is in the range of $6.5 million per year. Okay, so Stainbrook says Derrick Henry at age 30 is in the range of $6.5 million per year in terms of what the Ravens see him, or see his value, I should say, as. And here's what I've been thinking since some of these reports out there. Clearly, there's conversation. Clearly, there's been interest all the way dating back to, the November 1st trade deadline at this point. But will the Ravens get to a point where they say to themselves, you know what? We've drawn a line in the sand with Derrick when it comes to what we feel his value is, what we're comfortable offering. And if he thinks that he can get more elsewhere, or if he wants to, push for more, then we're going to stick to our model. We're going to stick to our philosophy. We're going to bring JK back on that 1-year prove-it deal, and then we're going to go find a starter within the first 4 rounds of the draft, or somewhere within the day, would probably be a day 2 running back who can come in and compete and help us out right away. Like, I don't think that that's all that. To me, that's not far-fetched, and maybe that's not even unwise. It's not the sexy approach to this, and certainly I think we all have great interest in what Derrick Henry would look like and what the Ravens specifically, particularly their backfield, would look like with Derrick there. But I just can't sit here and say and assume that they're willing to go outside of their comfort zone from a spending standpoint based on the risk versus reward that comes with signing a guy that does have a lot of miles on his tires and has been around the league for a very long time and is on the other side of 30 at the running back position. I mean, you saw what Andrew Brandt said. NFL teams have made it very, very clear philosophically how they feel about the running back position when you begin to age in this league. You fall off a cliff in their mind, in their eyes. So, I still think this is a very viable option. It's one that I would love to see. It's one that I'm absolutely open to seeing. And to me, kind of a dream scenario right now is a running back room that consists of the following. And just moments ago, Diana Rossini, again, this is why you got to kind of refresh social media as much as possible. I have it off to my right-hand side for a reason. Derrick Henry has had conversations with multiple teams since yesterday, including the Ravens. For now, I'm told nothing is imminent. We continue to wait. So that is as of 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning. That from Diana Rossini of The Athletic. Okay, so really nothing new there, but nothing seems to be imminent, which means the Ravens are probably, like I'm kind of suggesting, right? The Ravens have their, I don't know, heels dug in a little bit. They've drawn that line in the sand, and maybe they're playing hardball a little bit. Does Derek really want to win a championship? Outside of Baltimore, what are his other options to do so? We're not sure, but clearly he's had conversations with multiple teams, according to Diana Rossini, and you have reports out there that he is in that range of $6.5 million per season from Baltimore. Perhaps that's just 1 year, maybe it's 2 years. You never know how that might be structured with void years. If you're Eric DeCosta in the front office, you want to be careful with that. But that's the latest when it comes to Derrick Henry. And like Diana said, we wait and wait. But I would be surprised if the Ravens deviate from what their philosophy is, from what their approach to team building is. Because, bottom line is if you're looking at a running back room with Derrick Henry, J.K. Dobbins, Keaton Mitchell, and Justice Hill, I think that's a great recipe for success. But if it's J.K. Dobbins, Keaton Mitchell, Justice Hill, and a day 2 running back, to me that could be just as effective. And that's not something to like snarl at, in my opinion. It's not the sexy thing. That's just my opinion. Okay, so Geno Stone is now a Cincinnati Bengal. And more tweets continue to pour in here about Derrick Henry. Again, nothing seems to be imminent. Just making sure this is as fresh of an episode as possible for you guys. So Geno Stone's now a Cincinnati Bengal. He's leaving in free agency. 2 years, $15 million for the former 7th-round pick. A big pay increase. Very happy for him, the player. I know a lot of us probably feel a certain type of way about him not only staying in division, but going to the rival, right? In today's